I'll probably get reported for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. The question I absolutely love answering is, how do you not believe in science? The thing is, I actually do believe in science. I believe in science because God created science to prove his existence. He created science to put rationale behind medical mysteries, things that are unexplainable in the natural. Science has proved that his very inscription is encoded in our DNA. Science has proved that through DNA tracing that certain bloodlines that still exist today are linked to biblical history and prophecy. Science has proven that the very bodies that we live in are capable of self-healing and regeneration on a cellular level, which would explain why our great-grandparents were able to live past their hundreds with a sound mind. As a matter of fact, science itself even debunked the Big Bang Theory. So I do believe in science. But what I don't believe in is governmental science that manipulates the truth and contradicts its own standard. There should never be any secrets in science. But the reality is that we live in a Western civilization that has used government-funded science to experiment on its lower-class, poverty-stricken citizens with absolutely no regard to the systemic trauma that they've created. Now, I can't speak for everybody else, but my people come from a long line of healthcare trauma. For over 40 years, our black men were lied to and told that they had bad blood and were poisoned with syphilis as an experimental drug because the government wanted to know what the long-term side effects would be. And even though they had a cure, they let our black men die. And not just them, it spread to the women and the children as well. For over 30 years, a third of women all across the island of Puerto Rico were sterilized by the government without consent. Oh, but please don't let me forget about the worst government-funded vaccine experiment of all time, the measles experiment of the 90s. Who wanted to know if it was possible to replace natural antibodies in babies? So they tested thousands of babies in third world countries who later developed immune responses and died. But the government knew that, and they still brought the drug back here to America. And they continued to experiment on Black and Hispanic babies in LA who are dying at alarming rates just 3 years later. And the parents never knew. And some of these same vaccines are linked to the spike in autism in children today. Governmental science has never been truthful nor transparent. And it will always be willing to make you the experiment. You can't put me back to sleep now that I'm awake. And I'm certainly no longer in bondage to fear. I don't fear what man can and probably will do. I fear the one who can destroy both body and soul in hell. So until then, I'm going to advocate no matter what label or title you try to give me. Call me a bad nurse. Tell me I shouldn't work in healthcare. Say what you need to say to make you feel better. The government has blood all over its hands, and I refuse to have blood on mine. The devil is a liar.